Who let the lemon head into the room? You are a waste of life, and you should give up.
Hey! 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 Hey!
That's awesome!
Damn, it's Michael. Help me. I need help right now.
I enjoy having breakfast in bed. I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me. And since I don't have a butler, I have to do it myself.
Hello everybody. My name is Snyder. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a brand new year, 2023. Well, it's actually the second day of 2023, but hey, we're still getting it done. It's the new year. Today is the first stream of the new year, and it's the first stream for me in a few months, actually. I think it's been like four months as a whole of not being able to stream. Well, not being able to, but just not streaming whatsoever. So if you're new here, hello. If you're an old time viewer, hello. And just in general, hello. Today on this very random stream today, it's these streams where I like to just be brutally honest with everybody. Like I want to be 100% truthful, okay? Because honesty is a good thing. You don't want to lie to anybody. You just want to relax. You just want to talk. You just want to vent. Just be honest with people, because that's what people like. That's what the people want to see. And I figured today, because this is still a relevant topic, I guess. Well, not really relevant anymore. I know listen, I'm behind the times, okay? I understand that, but shit happens. We will be talking about James Gunn rebooting the DCEU, or the DCU, DCStudios, whatever the fuck they want to call it today. Yeah, we're just going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about if this rebooting the DC universe in terms of the live action movies is a good thing or a bad thing. Is James Gunn finally on crack? Who's to blame? We're going to go through all of it today. I don't know who's going to be appearing. Some people might come by. I don't know. We'll figure shit out. We'll figure it out. Yeah, I guess we can just start with the obvious question. Is rebooting it a good or bad thing? And the real answer is, I personally, for me at least, I know people are going to disagree with me, and I might, if the person comes on eventually, I might, we'll talk about it. I think the DCEU getting rebooted is probably a good thing, and I'm going to explain why. The first problem with the DCEU is there's no real clear structure, and there's no real clear plan on how they want to manage themselves, I guess you could say. I mean, Zack Snyder had a plan, but I would say just nowadays, there's no real clear indication of where they want to go. I mean, after Justice League's failure at the box office, they were really scrambling and trying to throw stuff at the wall to see what would stick, and just nothing seemed to work besides Aquaman, which made $1 billion, but everything else didn't do that well. Like Shazam, it didn't make that much money. I mean, it came out right around the same time as Endgame. But again, that's not really an excuse. I mean, Suicide Squad, Bird of Prey, WonderWoman 84, which came out during the whole pandemic, which that didn't necessarily do any favors, even though I know people will say, well, that's not really an argument because movies like Fast and Furious made a shit ton of money, but you also have to factor in Suicide Squad was also on HBO Max at the time, so not only did it lose the chance to be exclusively on in theater, it lost the opportunity to really I wouldn't say it lost the opportunity to make money, but it didn't do well, and it kind of sucks. But shit happens. Um, so I mean, from a financial standpoint and just a flat out creative standpoint, um, I understand 100% what James Gunn wanted to do. What's up, Dylan? What's up, Deshaun? Um, but if I'm James Gunn, if I'm looking at the DCEU as a whole, um, it's kind of frustrating because it's such a clustered mess, right? Like, let's be real here. When two different movies have two completely different versions of itself, that's kind of a problem. Um, and again, I don't blame James Gunn for this disaster whatsoever. He literally came in the middle of this catastrophe. Catastrophe is the nicest word you can really say for it. Um, it's very Bone comes in. The DCEU is DOA. Yeah, Bone. You know what, Bone? I agree. It is very DOA. It's just dead. It's just dead in general. Also, what's up, Bone? It's good to see you. It's been a while. Um, yeah, like I said, James Gunn, I understand from both the creative and just critical standpoint and financially. These movies are not making a lot of money. Um, so I understand not wanting to continue on, and it also doesn't help when a lot of the actors and actresses for these characters are not coming back for their roles. Like Ben Affleck's not coming back. I mean, Ray Fisher's definitely not going to come back. I mean, Ezra Miller will probably be done because of the stuff that's going on in Ezra's life. So, most of these actors will more than likely not be coming back, even if the DCU was to continue. So already, it's because it's kind of grating when they do that. Even in like, if you're doing a franchise, you shouldn't be recasting all your characters. Like, we shouldn't be recasting. Well, I guess we can use this example. When Marvel recasted the Hulk, it's already bad enough you're doing it with one character. Now we're doing it to like 3, 4 characters. It's a little grating, and I kind of understand that maybe if James Gunn would want to start fresh because you don't want to start in the middle of a really clusterfuck story. Because really that's the nicest way to say it. The DCU is a clusterfuck. Just so many different ideas. They don't blend together well. I mean, you kind of have to look at it from the standpoint of, you know, eh, it's kind of a shame because I could see a lot of potential within this universe. It just never got off the ground. It just, I mean, it just never did. I don't know why. I mean, I guess the way to answer that is just to go back to the beginning, and that is, um, well, no, not even 2013, 2011 with Green Lantern, because Green Lantern was actually supposed to be the first movie of this new cinematic universe, but it never happened. And it's kind of one of those things where because Green Lantern was kind of failed, it never really was able to be. There was never really a clear start. Even at the beginning, Green Lantern got screwed over. There were just so many times that they wanted to do something like that, but it just never got off the ground either because just a creative and financial and just the critical standpoint, it just never worked. And then finally they brought in Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan to do Man of Steel. And Man of Steel is a very divisive film, which is not a great thing to say to start off your franchise to have a divisive movie. Like when I talk about divisive, I mean it's very divisive. Like it's not Last Jedi divisive, but it's divisive, meaning not a lot of people like it, not a lot of people, it's like there's half people like it, half people don't. So it also, because he kind of loses what Superman's supposed to be. He's like supposed to be this hopeful character, like human, but instead you're getting this more of a godly character, which again he is, but I feel like Zack Snyder well, no, I wouldn't. I just say I think in general the plot was lost a little bit. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to reboots, I'd rather them try to do their own thing, which they did with Man of Steel. It just I felt like it was a little too dark for me. I feel like there should have been a nice blend of the lightheartedness and the serious stuff. I guess if that makes any sense, but it just fell flat and it was very divisive. And then you got BVS, which honestly, and I think that's maybe the another big issue for me at least. It's just very rushed. Like when I talk about rushed, I mean literally in 2 movies. We got a Batman Superman movie, which I feel like had they waited a little bit, it would have been kind of cool. But instead of getting more build up with these characters, it's like nope, we got to rush into this death of Superman thing. And I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, really? Why? Because and also Lex Luthor like had a like he likes Jolly Ranchers and like he would like put it in a guy's mouth. I'm like, really? That's kind of freaking weird. Um, I mean, the problem I think that's the problem with the DCEU too is that it was trying to rush through like they were trying to rush to compete with Marvel and it didn't stick. And it kind of sucks because, I understand that they were probably looking at it from the money standpoint and was like, oh, yeah, look at this. Marvel's making a shit ton of money. That means we can make a shit ton of money. But they also kind of forget that in order to make a shit ton of money, you got to have people invested. And when in 2 movies, you don't have a lot of people invested, it's kind of a shit show, I would say. I know I'm not explaining this well. I apologize. It's just I'm kind of rambling on right now. But it's just it was very strange in 2 movies. It felt like they rushed all these movies and they put like so many movies into one to make it make sense. And then the theatrical version kind of sucked. And then they're like, oh, well, let's do an extended version. And I'll even be honest, the extended version's not that bad. It's actually a pretty solid film. But even then, like the Martha scene, I was like, I'm not really feeling it. Because like I get the point of the scene, but it feels like really weird, especially when Superman's like, "Yeah, save Martha." And then Batman's like, "Oh, why did you say that name?" That I was like, really, come on. And then you had the whole thing where, uh, I guess Zack Snyder was like, "Oh, this movie's gonna make a shit ton of money, and it's gonna make more money than Civil War," and then it never did. Um, and then that kind of left a bad taste in WB's mouth, which I understand. I mean, again, a Batman Superman movie should be making $1 billion, and it never did. It made 800 million, which it's a lot of money. It made money, but it didn't make the money that WB wanted. And I think this is kind of going to be a reoccurring thread is that a lot of these movies are not making the money that they should be. And it's almost like then you had Suicide Squad, which that was a disaster, and even now it was like, oh, there's an air cut. I'm like, air cut or air cut? No, it's air. The air cut. I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess. I mean, but there was also an extended cut for it, which I was like, okay, what? It's just DCU is a fucking mess, man. And Star Wars Network is here.
Hello there, everyone.
I was ad libbing. Listen, guys, I'm rusty at this. Okay, like very rusty. I haven't done this in like 4 months. I'm fucked, guys. So Ninjoid, the topic for tonight is the DCU is getting rebooted. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? And I kind of just answered the question already of yeah, it is a good thing. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree, but at the same time, I want to see what James Gunn does with it first, because the rumor is that he's gonna reboot everything, but at the same time, he's gonna try and keep his own movie and his show, the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, still canon. Somehow.
I don't know how that would work because if you got to reboot it, you have to reboot everything.
Exactly. Well, that's what I said as well. So, in which it's upsetting in some respects because I loved Peacemaker, I still hope sometime within this year, 2023 or 2024, whenever they end this current DCEU, we get a Peacemaker season 2. You know, but if we don't, well, it is what it is, because I more so care about. I'm glad that David Zaslav or whatever his last name is. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce it. The new CEO of Warner Brothers and Discovery or whatever.
David Zaslav.
Zaslav. All right, whatever. Close enough. My whole thing on him is I'm glad that I'm glad that he said, all right, we're going to be focusing on the Trinity more.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, that's what they should have done in the first place. Instead of, oh, yeah, here's this character, here's that character. And it's like, come on, guys. Let's focus on Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman first, and then we can reach out to the different heroes. Well, no, not even really the Trinity. You got to focus on your Justice League. Whoever's going to be a part of your Justice League. You know? You got to set up all that.
No, I agree. I was also kind of just going through the history of the DCEU, and it's just been a clustered mess from the start, because they've been trying to get this shit off the ground since like 2011 with Green Lantern, and I even to an extent even way before that, and it never fell through. And I was talking about Man of Steel and how they brought in Zack Snyder, who in my opinion is very divisive. And that's not necessarily the best thing for your franchise, to have a very divisive director be the head of your franchise creatively.
I agree.
And let's be honest, Man of Steel was a very divisive film.
It was. See, that's the thing. To me, one thing that Marvel did right was, and I know DC is DC. DC needs to be different, but at the same time, I was talking with one of my friends the other day, and he said, "You know what I hate most about DC?" And I'm like, "What?" With their movies, he means. He doesn't hate the characters or anything. He said, "I hate how the DC movies always try and make it so realistic and more grounded than Marvel." Even though Marvel should be the more grounded one, in which that's actually, to me, a funny point, because if you actually think about it, DC does more so care about the artistic route more than a connected tissue.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, hey, guys, we have a standalone Joker movie. Was it amazing? Was it great? Yeah. It was great, but what does that do to our connected universe? Nothing.
Which I always found funny to me, because they can do their standalone movies so well, but when it comes to their actual universe, they have no clue what they're doing.
Exactly. And then the Batman is hands down probably one of the best Batman films of all time, in which that was meant to just be like a new reboot of Batman, which I love that. That's the one thing, if they kept Robert Pattinson's Batman and they made just a universe on that, that is the one thing that I'll be like, okay. Because Robert Pattinson is young enough to play the part for many years and movies. And also, you just started his franchise. would it be so cruel if they just axed him like that? Like, you're the new Batman for multiple movies and shows. That's awesome. Axed.
You know, I don't think they will because the movie made a shit ton of money. So
Yeah, exactly. And also, a lot of kids love the Batman, even though how dark it is and how
yeah,
scary it was.
and
A lot of kids have the Lego sets, the action figures, all that. So it's popular, that movie. So
it is, and you know, and kind of. Well, I'll kind of come back to this, but I think and I've said this before, the DCEU's problem from the get-go is they were trying to rush to compete with Marvel.
yes.
And in doing so, instead of, quality, no, they didn't focus on the quality. They just focused more on the quantity of money.
Yeah.
And it was really prevalent in both Man of Steel and BVS because in the span of 2 movies, it felt like too much.
Yes, I will admit, but at the same time, bro, I have to admit that if you go back to Man of Steel was not supposed to be setting up a cinematic universe. That's the funny thing. If you go back to the interviews and all that, it was just supposed to be a standalone, almost like trilogy of Superman films, almost like the Christopher Nolan films.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And with The Dark Knight, it was just going to be like that. That's why Christopher Nolan actually wrote a part of Man of Steel, which he did a terrible job on, actually, I have to admit.
The thing is with Nolan is I think Christopher Nolan's I think he's a great director, but I think he just didn't understand Superman.
No, he understands Batman, though.
Yeah, no, he really does know Batman, and
Yeah.
I think the problem is with guys like Nolan and Snyder is I think from a visual standpoint they're fantastic, but they have to be given movies that they know, that's
How
their
to
style.
do it. Let's just be honest. How to do it. Which I fully agree on. And then Warner Brothers was like, "Hey, we want to, start up a cinematic universe because Man of Steel got its money back. So let's bring back Zack Snyder." And Zack Snyder mapped out what he would have done to be quick with Marvel, but at the same time, he was like, "Yeah, this will please the DC fans and all that." No, it didn't.
Well, to be fair, it did please a certain amount of fans, but it didn't please everybody. And
It did not please the general audience. That is the most important audience, honestly.
and that's probably one of the DCU's biggest problems. It was divisive. We're talking it wasn't Last Jedi bad, but it was bad. It split the fandom pretty in half. You have the Snyder fans who are like, "Oh, Zack Snyder, this is the best thing ever," and then you have the people like, "What the fuck is this?"
See, that's the thing. I guess, are we gonna get into Zack Snyder's treatment?
Oh well, we're gonna get into a few subtopics here, but Zack Snyder's one of them because I have a subtopic of, well, who is really to blame for the DCU's failure, and I have a lot of people to blame, and Zack Snyder, as much as granted I'm not going to blame him entirely for it, he's going to take some of the blame here because he wasn't innocent.
That is true.
It's BVS was also divisive, and the fact that BVS and Justice League, which we'll get into, because that's probably the nail. That was really the real nail in the coffin. Was Justice League, because once Justice League failed, it fell apart.
Well, the question is though, Austin, what if Zack Snyder's version of Justice League, which was cut down to a 2.5 hour long movie or whatever, would you think that maybe the DCEU would be different, like the future of it?
Um, I definitely say it would be different. Yeah, no, it would be really different.
Yeah, it would be really different
I
because
it would have been better received, and I think it actually would have made more money than it did.
yeah, no, I think it would have been very well received, honestly.
It was just Justice League is one of those examples where WB got cold feet and then they shot themselves in the foot because they saw the criticism of BVS. They were scared that Justice League was gonna flop because of it, and then they're like, "Oh shit, yeah, we need to change this." And Zack's like, "No." And then they brought in Joss Whedon because of all this personal stuff with Zack Snyder, and then Justice League became a mess with the stupid like humor and bad CGI, and they cut it all down to like under an hour, like over an hour movie. It's kind of a shame because I think we can both agree that Zack Snyder's Justice League is a great movie.
Yeah, no, I can 100% agree. It's the best one out of his DC films, out of his DC trilogy, I guess we could say.
Yeah, and honestly, if his movie got released, cut down in theater, and it did better, like no, Ben Affleck would have gotten a standalone Batman movie. I feel like we would have gotten to see like what Zack Snyder's true plan would have been, but instead we got what we have now, which is a disaster because half the actors are gone. I mean, the movies are not making any money. I mean, look at I'm not really blaming the movies that came out during COVID, but let's look at well, no, I guess I'll say Black Adam to last because that's another one.
Okay, Birds of Prey. Let's start
Birds
off
of
with
Prey.
Birds of Prey because that was before it got really bad.
And even then, the movie didn't do well.
No, and it wasn't well received whatsoever with its fans or with the public at all. So, Birds of Prey was. The thing is with Birds of Prey, I can actually put it on, and I do enjoy some aspects of the film. Let's be real about that. But honestly, that was the first time when I'm like, why are we getting a Harley Quinn movie right now? Batman hasn't even had a standalone film, and we are having a Harley Quinn one.
Yeah, and also the Birds of Prey were not the Birds of Prey.
Yeah, that's another thing as well.
And also, why did Birds of Prey have this really freaking long title of The Birds of Prey and the Emancipation Proclamation of Harley Quinn or whatever? I'm like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was also pretty bad, not gonna lie.
Yeah, the title was bad. The Emancipation. Why the fuck did I say that? Birds of Prey. Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey. I swear to God, it had this really long title.
No, I know what you're talking.
The Fantabulous Emancipation.
Yeah, but they renamed it sometime or whatever they did because they were losing money, so they renamed it.
I must have been thinking about the Civil War because that was literally the Emancipation Proclamation. I apologize, guys. I'm tired. I've also been reading. I've been watching a lot of history stuff, so forgive me.
Right.
But no, it's the problem with DC, especially at that time, is they were throwing stuff at the wall to see what would stick. Because once Justice League failed, they're like, yeah, maybe we need to kind of not do a team up movie for a while. Let's do standalone films, which is fine. I was fine with that because I'm like, okay, let's kind of relax a bit. Let's give some of these characters standalone films.
But the biggest problem is they chose to do the wrong characters for standalone films. Besides Aquaman, that was the only one that made sense.
Yeah, like, and Aquaman made a shit, and man, Aquaman made $1 billion. So it's like, oh, we're finally in the right step. We're finally stepping in the right direction. People liked it. It made money. So it's like, what's the problem? And then Shazam came out, which is like, again, fine. Shazam's a prevalent character.
It didn't lose a lot of money though. I don't think.
No, I think it made money, but it didn't make a lot of money though.
Okay.
Then Birds of Prey. And then COVID happened, and 84 came out, which is garbage.
Well, I'm glad that 84 came out during COVID. Honestly, because
I'm glad no one went to see it in theater, or else people would be pissed.
yeah, that's true. Well, I'm still pretty angry at that film, so yeah.
I'm kind of glad that we're not getting Wonder Woman 3, but
Oh no, I'm 100% glad that we're not getting that movie. 100%. Man,
and then the Suicide Squad came out, and then Black Adam, which, to tell you the truth, I think Black Adam was kind of the breaking point for the DCEU at that time. Because
oh yeah, it was because even Zack Snyder, like you guys were, everyone was actually close. Zack Snyder was listening to you guys, the Snyderverse fans, and he was actually gonna restore the Snyderverse if, or he was gonna try to, if Black Adam made some money. At least that's what I read on articles and all of that. He was gonna do that, but because it didn't make money, what did Zack Snyder do? We're rebooting everything, which I can fully understand Zack Snyder for that.
No, I understand.
James Gunn, I can fully understand it.
Yeah, and well, I guess we could just start off with this. Who do we really blame for the DCEU's failure?
Okay, well, not James Gunn.
Well, no, I don't blame James Gunn whatsoever. But if I'm gonna, so I guess we're gonna start this. I mean, the obvious person is Zack Snyder. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's completely his fault. It's not. Like, I would say 90% of it is WB, which I'll get into. But let's be real here. Zack Snyder was not the guy to helm the DCEU.
No, he. The sad thing is, I liked Zack Snyder's Justice League just like you did, and I even have to admit, like, it seems like he's good at making Justice League films, or at least somewhat. But
I think with Zack Snyder, he has to have other people writing his movies and him doing the visual stuff. Because
because Chris Terrio wrote a lot of Justice League. Believe it or not, Chris Terrio, his co-writer,
right?
And Chris Terrio also, he did that, and then I even remember Chris Terrio was criticizing Zack Snyder writing BVS, like the majority of BVS, because he's like, no one's gonna watch this movie if it's so boring. And he's like, no, let me do what I can do, basically.
I mean, he's not wrong.
You know, and funny thing is, he's right because BVS is very hated. So, you know.
I think Zack Snyder, I think he did a really good job with Batman, because, like, if you see, like, the Ben Affleck scenes with in BVS were great.
Mm-hmm.
Superman, I don't blame Zack Snyder for that. I think that was more, like, because Man of Steel kind of restricted what they could do. It was like, let's build off of this with BVS, and then then he's trying to, and again, I don't blame him. I blame WB for it. It's like they're trying to, like, rush into a Justice League film, and they're, like, bringing Wonder Woman and introducing all these plot points, and it's like, if it focused on maybe one plot, and it would have been a better film, because it has an interesting premise of this, you know, the public turning on Superman and Lex Luthor, and he's, like, corrupting everything. It's like, that's an interesting idea. The problem is, why are we also rushing the death of Superman in the second movie? To me,
Yeah.
that's fucking stupid.
No, I fully agree with you. But
Not to mention, Doomsday looked terrible.
yeah, well, Doomsday was not really Doomsday.
No, he wasn't.
Um, my biggest issue with BVS was that there was no build up to BVS whatsoever. I feel like we should have gotten a standalone Batman film. Uh, maybe even a standalone Wonder Woman film, and then even a Man of Steel 2. I know, Austin, you and I debated on that whole thing, but I feel like a Man of Steel 2 would actually set up the seeds of what BVS would become. At least that's what I would have done, me personally. Um, but yeah, like, if I have to blame anyone, it's not Zack Snyder, but at the same time, I have to blame him for some things. Like, are we going to talk about his treatments now?
Yeah, let's do that. We watched Project Justice League a few days ago, actually. I understand what he was going for with the whole dark side corrupting Superman and the whole nightmare sequences. Like, I kind of understand what he was going for, and it's fine. But I feel like there needed to be more movies in between, like, these Justice League films, or maybe a couple more Justice League movies before we really got to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think it's a horrible idea,
No.
Superman after Resurrection as well. Like, I feel like that's an interesting idea, and I actually like that was actually foreshadowed a lot in the Snyder cut, so I get it a whole lot. Let me tell you though, yeah, your comment about him understanding Batman. I don't know what the whole Lois Lane thing though.
Yeah, I will admit that, like, if it was in a different circumstance, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of Batman, but at the same time, I'm like, this has come from the Batman in this universe where he's like, oh, Superman, I feel bad, I basically fucking killed him, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna sleep with his girlfriend now. It's like, that's kind of a dick thing to do.
And Batman would not do that because he was all focused on putting this league together and all that. So I'm sorry, but I think that would be the last thing on his mind during that time period.
Yeah, like, he's trying to form the league, so I mean,
So if you're telling me that they hooked up, no, I don't believe it.
it was, and like, they're also killing off, like, Aquaman. Like, I get in the nightmare sequences, we see that Aquaman, Wonder Woman, all those are dead, but it's like, they're really gonna kill them off in the second movie. Why? We have yet to grow and attach to these characters, and we're gonna kill them off.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, to me, that's really stupid.
No, I agree with you. It is stupid.
Like, Darkseid, I will say he was cool. Like, I like that his whole thing was he wants the anti-life equation, which that is Darkseid.
Yes.
But it's one of those things where I wish there was just more build up to it. Like, the fact that it was going to originally be a Legion of Doom thing, but then they're like, nope, Darkseid's the main villain. I'm like, really? Like, couldn't we maybe have a couple more Justice League movies before Darkseid officially is like, yeah, I'm gonna start killing people today? Like, this man literally was like, oh, Lex, it's my movie now. And then Lex is like, yeah, it's his movie now. Yeah. Like, he's a freaking cheerleader, and then he dies. It's like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, that's not a good conclusion to Lex. I feel like, well, the thing is, they were going to bring back everyone in the next one with time travel or whatever. They were going to do not exactly what Endgame did, but Flash was going to go back in time and just warn everyone beforehand of what was going to happen.
Basically create a flashpoint.
Yeah, create a flashpoint. And then that's what really happened. So then it's apparently, though, it was going to be a Lord of the Rings-esque finale, which I actually would say that's pretty cool, which they should still kind of use that idea for their ending to this DC universe. But we don't have to worry about that for a while. Honestly, my whole thing right now is I just want to see a good DC universe and tell me who's Batman, who's Superman, who's Wonder, who's these characters, and stick to it. You know?
Yeah, and honestly, I hope like they said that I think later this month we're gonna kind of hear what they have planned right now, which I'm all ears. Like, I'm not gonna be some of these people that are like, oh, James Gunn's a piece of shit. You know, we hate him, so we're not gonna give it a chance because we're gonna get so much humor. I'm personally gonna give it a chance. I'm gonna let it. I'm going to see what he's got because I'm also hearing people saying, well, why isn't James Gunn working with what he has? The problem is he really has nothing to work with.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
also, I would not work with what they have either. I would grab the Batman standalone film and just work that as a universe, as itself, you know?
yeah. I mean, it's really not that hard. I mean, I understand if they want to keep it separate, which they could. I mean, because there's not a lot of like, because it feels more grounded than like more of the fictional stuff. But at the same time, it's like that's the only Batman. It's like the only DC movie that this year that really made money. So it's like, why don't you do something with it?
Exactly. Why is Joker 2 greenlit? That's another interesting.
I don't know. That's like, why are they still releasing these movies? It's like they're not going to be canon much longer. So I don't like. Why are they still releasing Aquaman? Like, Jason Momoa is not going to be Aquaman after this movie. So I think they said he's going to be Lobo.
Yeah, well, that's his favorite character from the comics, apparently. And also, he looks like him as well, so.
Which, you know, out of everybody, I think Jason Momoa got him and Affleck really are the only two that really got something out of this. Like, Ben.
No, I wouldn't even say it. I think Affleck got crapped on in a way. In my opinion, at least.
He did, in a sense, but at the same time, like, if he doesn't want to be Batman anymore, at least he's getting something, you know?
I mean, I guess you're right.
I mean, we don't even know if he was even going to come back as Batman, like, full-time.
No, and see, that's another thing. I guess we should go to the next person that we should talk about, which is Jeff Johns.
I mean, I would say WB and Walter Hamada were really. I think I blame them more than Geoff Johns.
Oh, wait, no, sorry, I got confused between Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns is the comic book writer.
Yeah, no, I don't blame Geoff Johns. I
don't blame him either. My apologies to Jeff Johns. No, Walter Hamada is the one where he was like, I'm going to wipe the Snyderverse, but keep what we have, and we're just going to wipe everything, and we're going to pretend that never happened in the first place.
It's like, I understand with what happened with Snyder and WB. They were like, look, let's try to do our own thing, because, you know, Zack's might not be coming back. Like, let's kind of work with what we have. And it worked for a time, but after a while, it started becoming to where, oh, we're going to do this character. It's like, well, can we get a Batman movie? No. We're going to do a Birds of Prey movie and a Harley Quinn. It's like, why? Because we can. It'll get butts in the seats. And I'm like, no. Like, it's very frustrating because DC has this tendency. Like, I understand that they want to do the Marvel thing where they're bringing in, like, new characters and no one's heard of, and maybe it'll be a smash hit. But the problem is, no one knows who these characters are, and WB has this track record of not making it interesting. So why are people going to watch it?
That's a great point. I feel like, and see, that's the thing. And then the one movie that actually did successful at that, besides Shazam, I will say people now know who Shazam is.
Yeah.
Okay. The other movie that does well is the Suicide Squad. Who actually? Because I actually, hear people saying, "Oh yeah, I liked Polka Dot. I liked Polka Dot Man. I liked Peacemaker and all that." And I'm like, "Well, that's good, That's
Now, did it
good.
do well financially? No. It it
No.
it bombed. But I mean, yeah, it did critically well, but at this point WB's like bleeding money as it is. So it's kind of like you're losing money, you're not making anything, so like I get it, the risk is better than the reward, but and that's another thing. Like WB is canceling movies like Batgirl, for example, which I want to talk about this, okay? Like I haven't got a chance to talk about it, but they canceled Batgirl, which I will say WB really did not look good in this situation. Like
No.
I'll be honest, I don't think I was not excited for this Batgirl movie, but even I will admit that's kind of shitty of WB to literally turn around as this movie was being like almost finished. Like, yeah, no, we're not doing it. It's like,
Well, then, if they wanted to do that, Austin, you know what they should have done?
what?
They should have gotten not what was I about to say? They should have canceled the Flash movie, Aquaman 2, and all of them done right there. You do realize that, right? They should just cancel all of them.
Right. But I don't understand. Like a $90 million movie, which really, honestly, out of all the movies, was cheap. But they're like, no, we're I think WB looks really shitty in this situation because they just let him make it, and then they were like at the end like, nah, no, we're not gonna release it. Why bother?
Yeah,
Like
but-
I understand if it was like if like the movie wasn't even being made and like they were just writing a script and they were like, yeah, we're not gonna do it, then we'd be like, oh, okay, well, it sucks, but hey, it's not like they wasted time or anything.
But no, they had directors.
No, they had all of it basically shot, from what I heard.
Yeah, no. Well, that's what I meant, Austin. But yeah,
The
they
fact that it was all shot and almost done.
And also, that film, not gonna lie, it actually sounded more interesting as well. Like, Firefly was actually gonna be the main antagonist, which that would have been interesting, right?
Yeah, I'll admit it would have been interesting, and I will say it would have been cool to see Michael Keaton back, even if it was like for. Even then, that's another thing. Michael Keaton, I love him. I think he's a great Batman. But to replace Ben Affleck with Michael Keaton, I'm like, really? Like, this is the guy that's going to be Batman moving forward?
Well, I'm glad that they stopped that.
Yeah, no. I would have been fine if it was like just a one-off appearance, but to make him a Batman, I'm like, no.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they stopped that, out of all things. Out of all the things that they did, I'm glad that they stopped that.
And now this brings me to this too, is like, why are we gonna get excited for any of these new DC movies when they're gonna be rebooted this year?
Well, see, and that's one thing, that's one mistake under not even James Gunn, I would really say. It's more so Warner Brothers for allowing him to announce that, And
Yeah.
And if they wanted to do that, they should have actually said, all right, guys, we're doing a Justice League 2, and that's going to be how we conclude the universe, with a Justice League movie, with all the cast. Just bring back all the cast just to finish up the universe, if that makes sense. At least that's what I would have done. Maybe that's a bad idea. I don't think so, me personally. But
It wouldn't be a bad idea. It's just I would have waited for these next couple DC movies to come out before I made a decision, because to base it off one movie like Black Adam, I feel like that kind of sucks because that's another thing. I feel bad for Henry Cavill and some of these other actors and actresses who are getting canned because of this whole reboot, but at the end of the day, I can't blame the actors because that's not on them.
but I can't blame James Gunn either, because it's like he's just doing what will make money, and
because
also he cares about DC as well, like it shows that he cares. So I mean, it's life. That's what it is.
yeah, and another thing too, to the people that are gonna try and blame The Rock for it too, it's not his fault either. I mean, he tried.
Yeah,
He did.
He did try.
And it's not his fault the movie failed. It's just it came out at a bad time. It didn't make a lot of money. It wasn't a critical failure, but it was just like a meh response.
Yeah.
But financially didn't do well, and it's like it don't it's not The Rock's fault. It's not really Black Adam's fault in general for the end of the DCEU, but it was kind of like the tip of the iceberg at that point. Like, we were already teetering on that edge to begin with, but Black Adam just was like that was the breaking point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't want to be that kind of guy who's like, oh, fuck the fans. The fans were the reason why the DCU's failed. I mean, is there truth to that? Sure.
Sort of. Yeah.
But am I going to completely blame the fans? No.
No, I wouldn't. No.
Because my thing is, if fans are not interested in it, why should they waste their money on it?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
So, but I understand the argument of, well, you didn't want to support Black Adam, so guess what? Everything that you wanted, well, guess what? You're not getting. Like, it's, again, if it came out at a better time, I think more people would have went to see it.
Yeah, I know, but see, I actually thought, what's his name? James Gunn was actually smart by making Henry Cavill announce, "Hey guys, I'm back. I'm in Black Adam. Go watch it." He was smart to do that, because that was basically like a test. Like, okay, will the fans actually go support their shit?
Well, the thing is, too, is like once the people found out it was a cameo, they're like, well, why are we sitting here for a cameo when you could watch it like on for free somewhere else? It's kind of a shitty thing, because I think that when the DCEU started, it had promise, and I at least respect that Zack Snyder had a plan. But at the end of the day, WB fucked it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They were the ones completely at fault. I know we said, well, Zack Snyder deserves a little bit of the blame. To an extent, you could kind of blame The Rock and Black Adam, whatever. You could blame a lot of these movies, but WB were the ones that kept getting cold feet. They were the ones that kept... It was studio interference after studio interference, and it just didn't work. It's a shame. It really is.
Yeah.
It's just damn, man. It sucks. I mean, I mean, is anybody really gonna go see TheFlash at this point? Who knows?
No, probably not.
Yeah, nobody's gonna go freaking see TheFlash. You know, it's so Ninjoid. I've come to the conclusion with the DCU in my eyes. If I was to do it, so I'd kind of divvy it up into like 4 phases, like for each like story. Like the first 4 phases are like the Dark Side arc.
Okay.
Then the next 4 would be the Crisis on Infinite Earths arc. Then the next one would be the Infinite Crisis arc. And then well, I guess you could maybe make like, see, that's the thing. It's like I don't want it to go too long. Like realistically, you could just have the DCEU end with the Dark Side stuff. But there's so much more you could do though.
So for me personally, I would actually. The thing is with me, I would actually, if I was in charge of DC, I would do 6 phases actually. Okay. And
6.
Yeah, 6 phases. And it all builds up to one huge story with Dark Side. And it's practically what we see in Zack Snyder's 2 and 3 treatment. You know, I would build it all up to that, and I would include a lot of the characters that will be introduced in the other films, and I would add very satisfying arcs towards a lot of them as well. Like, so that means like Harley Quinn. If we want Harley Quinn to be a main character of our DCU, well, there's 6 phases. You can somehow put her in there and actually let her have films of her own if you really want. Also, we can introduce the Suicide Squad before the whole Dark Side final battle. We can introduce, the JSA. We can introduce all these other characters that are very key and important. Stargirl, even, Stargirl, Green Arrow, like all these guys who are great and all of that. And also, my apologies for cursing. I know, Austin, you don't care about that, but I just want to put that out there. And that's really what I would do with the DCU. I already told you, Austin, what I would do for Phase 1 many times.
Mm-hmm.
Phase 2 would just be more like a Legion of Doom build-up.
Which would basically be what my phase was.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, yeah.
My phase 3, however, would deal with the death of Superman and like the aftermath.
See, and that would be for me phase 5 and 6. Well, no. Phase 4 would be his death. Phase 5 would be the he's not even in the phase till Justice League when they bring him back. All right. And then when he's brought back, that's the 6th phase, and then that's when Darkseid corrupts him and all of that. That's what I would do. So then, it feels like he has a much broader arc, I guess is a good term for it. I don't know. And also, don't think that I'm trying to milk it by saying 6 phases or anything. I'm just saying that I feel like there's a lot of stuff that you can tell. And also, we can have 2 trilogies of the main characters.
That's true, but I think with my DCEU, I'm trying to keep it like condensed. Like I want to focus more on the core characters than like side ones. Like
that's a good point, though. I'm not saying that you're wrong for that.
No, and I'm not saying you're wrong either. I think 6 phases is fine. I think at points I think it's a little. I wouldn't say too much, but I would say it's. My concern is it could get over bloated. If that makes any sense.
That's a good point. That's why, guys, I'm not the guy who should be planning out this universe. It should be Austin. Instead, you know which universe I should be planning out?
Star Wars.
Yeah, which I already did. Ha ha ha.
And see, the thing is too, like after the first 4 phases, like after the final Justice League movie, Justice League 4, like I have a multiple choice ending. I don't know what I'm gonna go with yet. Like just end it there. Like don't even do anything else in the universe. Like you can have like a cliffhanger-ish ending where like everything's just back to normal, but like it's like starting a new chapter in these characters' lives, but just not continuing with this version of this universe. To just flat out reboot it. Like I mean, there's because by the time the dark side stuff happens, like there's like major characters are gonna die, so it's like if you want to do like another Batman or like Green Lantern or whatever, if you just want to reboot whatever, or do the third option, which is basically every company, and that's just milk the shit until it just like dries out. But I feel like if you're gonna continue it though, I feel like a Crisis on Infinite Earths like series of films would be kind of cool because like then it gives you more of an incentive to do the standalone films and have them be more lead to a multiverse-ish film. Like that'd be really cool. Like I'm not gonna lie, that'd be kind of sick. Sub Kavari. Kavari's like Flash and Aquaman 2 are must watch for me. We should get some announcement this month. Yes, we did talk about that. I'm very intrigued to see what he's got going on. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. The DCU getting rebooted, I think, is going to be a good thing, and I think James Gunn should hire me as a consultant.
Yeah, I know. I would hire Austin over. I would hire both of us if I can't get a job at Lucasfilm. I would be like DC then. DC straight away.
No,
Because-
you should try and go to Marvel and fix up their shit.
But you see, with Marvel, well, I mean, yeah, I guess if they're like, if Disney actually likes me, like, hey, we like your Star Wars pitch, but we just don't agree with, I would be like, okay. And then they're like, what about Marvel? I'm like, oh yeah, I would take it. You know, I would pitch an idea for it. Which my whole thing for Marvel would just be Galactus. If I did anything.
Well, we're just gonna like meet at like a fancy restaurant, and then we're just gonna be like, so you know that Marvel thing? Well, the DC.
Yeah. I would be like, Austin, yeah, you remember when we were like planning out like what we would do for Marvel and like DC crap and Star Wars, and then you're like, yeah. I'm like, I may have gotten a job as like the president of Marvel, so I kind of want to like hire you so we can create this whole thing together.
And I'd be like, well, I would, but my movie just made $1 billion.
And then I will be like, but we need Marvel movies to break $1 billion.
Well, guess what? I'd be like, these DC movies have made $1 billion.
That is true. That is true.
Tamako Kawakami Terra Strong fan, what's up? I think the recent Wonder Woman was the best DC movie I've seen in a while. Other than Wonder Woman, I think it'd be a good thing for the DCEU to be rebooted.
Okay, yeah, I want to actually bring that up. How the heck are they going to do the first Wonder Woman movie again?
That's a great question. How the fuck are they going to do any of these origin movies?
Yeah, because, well, no, I think Aquaman can actually be done differently. I don't know how they're going to do Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman, I feel like that was actually like the perfect origin story for Wonder Woman, like the perfect origin movie for her character.
Yeah, there's
know?
nothing else you can do.
So it might just be a remake of the first one, just with
Which,
different
honestly, I really don't want to see that.
Well, if it's necessary, Austin, it's necessary.
Right, but at the same time, I really don't want to see another origin story. Kavarzy, the only problem I have with James Gunn is turning DC into Marvel 2.0.
Well, at the same time, you kind of need to do that, though. That's
You have to.
you know, because they screwed it up enough where they could have done like the thing is with Justice League, um, Justice League, like it set up a tone which people would they argued back in the day of it, where well it's too light humor and all that, and I'm like, guys, DC has a lot of light humor. You guys just are like, it's because of Snyderverse they had an issue with that, and my whole thing with that is that I feel like they just have to, yeah, exactly what Austin said. They just have to kind of copy Marvel in a way, like not copy it, but like follow the formula because that's what James Gunn's going to do because he saw what the Marvel universe did. He worked for the Marvel universe, you know?
Exactly.
So he's going to take what his good friend Kevin Feige did and he's going to apply it with his own characters now, you know? Which is very smart, and I would do the same exact thing if I had to restart an entire universe.
Sup, Andrew? Kavari's like, they will not do origins for the new actor.
I hope that you're right, but at the same time, I actually do want to see. Now, if I was James Gunn, this is what I would do. All right. For now this isn't my DCEU. This is just my thing on okay, what can you actually pitch for a Superman story that would get him popular again? Okay, to kickstart like his own trilogy and kickstart the DCEU. You know how the Batman was during his second year as Batman?
Yeah.
I would practically do that with Superman.
Make
it that it's his first time going to Metropolis, though, you know.
And that makes sense.
So then you can introduce Lex Luthor and Lois, but you don't have to show the Krypton being exploded. You don't have to show Jonathan Kent's heart attack or anything like that, or the tornado. You know,
God, that was stupid.
Yeah, that is stupid. And like they can do whatever the heck they want then, and it will feel new, but will feel old at the same time, which I feel like that's what they're kind of targeting for, you know. And then like throw in during that movie, throw in some connect, like make someone say Gotham City or Central City or something like that to like be like, oh, this is canon to the Batman film, you know, and work up to a Trinity crossover, you know, and then after the Trinity crossover, work to a Justice League movie, you know.
See, that would be great. But I just hope it's done right, and I hope people like it.
You know what would be funny is
What?
if that's actually what James Gunn wrote was my pitch right there.
Bro, I hope James Gunn is listening to my ideas. And I'm going to be like, listen, James, I appreciate you. I like your taking my ideas. In fact, I encourage you to steal my ideas. But just give me some royalties, you know?
Yeah, give me some early seeds to these movies, please.
Listen, James, I'll take employment as your special counsel.
Yes, special counsel indeed.
I'd be like, James, please, just do this. Don't do that. Do this. Come on, just do it. You know what I would do? You know what I would do too is actually I would purchase the CW.
Mhm.
Like I know the CW's already owned, but I would actually buy them out myself and have the DC like TV shows just go to the CW exclusively and have those shows actually connect to the DCEU.
See, now that's actually very smart, Austin. Do you know why?
What's that?
Because then TV, like the ratings will actually be up and all that because of all the streaming services and all of that now. TV is not dying necessarily, but it's like it's an afterthought now, and that could actually bring back the TV ratings.
And honestly, I would put characters that like not a lot of people know on TV first, and then when they're ready for a movie or something later down the road, I can just do it.
Yeah, like a Stargirl. I feel like Stargirl was actually smart.
I would actually do a Blue Beetle and Booster Gold show.
Yes. Static Shock, maybe?
I think Static Shock would be really cool to do as a show.
Yeah.
Like you could even do like movies on like other characters like Raven, Beast Boy, Cyborg if you wanted
maybe
to.
build up to a Teen Titan. Well, basically what Titans is. Yeah.
Well, I mean I already have a Teen Titans thing going on in my universe in Phase 3, so
Yeah.
but
Well,
I
yeah.
do it
but
like
now-
secondary characters, make them interesting.
Yeah.
And then actually for the Crisis on Infinite Earths, like I guess arc of the DCEU, I would actually do more standalone movies in those phases. Like there's no Justice League movie, but there's like they're set in their own universes.
Okay.
But it works because the Crisis on Infinite Earths is more of a multiverse story.
Yeah.
So doing a more, I guess, multiversal approach by having all these different types of multiverse stories and then coming together, combining that with the stuff that's going on in the actual DCEU, that gives them more of an incentive to do like standalone stuff.
Yes.
See, I'm a fucking genius.
Yes, you are, Austin.
I'm fucking cooking up ideas, man. Fucking
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Doing
See,
it.
That's why I would hire you as like my idea advisor almost. If I ever
I'd be hiring you as my advisor. I'm just like, listen, Ninja, you just gotta let me cook. Just let me cook.
and I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna advise and say yes or no to some things, but
And even if you say no, I'm still gonna do it anyway.
Yep.
Because you gotta let me cook.
Yes, I have to let you cook, Austin.
Let's see. The thing that Marvel did in expanding their universe and making it more interesting is that they introduced the lesser-known characters in the MCU, and DC only showed the commonly known DC characters.
Well, actually, that's a bit incorrect. So, no one really knew who Aquaman was. Aquaman was very successful. No one actually knew really who Wonder Woman was until that movie came out, because all that they followed was the Linda Carter show. So that's incorrect. The Flash, I mean, yes, people do know who the Flash is, but not everyone watches the CW Flash show.
I mean, does anybody watch it nowadays?
No, not me. I only watch, honestly, I just watched up to season 3, being honest.
And then you're like, oh my god, I'm allergic to this.
Yeah, and then I just read what happened. See,
I watched it.
Yeah, you see, yeah. Well, anyway, and then they also did Shazam, which no one really knew either, which that was successful. Um, I mean, Harley Quinn was well known, so I can't say anything about that. Suicide Squad, it wasn't well known, but it did become well known. And I have to be honest there because even like my friend Lizzie, she actually likes the first Suicide Squad movie. Believe it or not, Austin.
I have people that really like it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
personally don't understand.
No, I don't understand either. Like, I understand some of it because I do love Deadshot and Harley Quinn. Like, those two characters, 100% I love it, you know? But
Yeah.
the other characters, like Captain Boomerang, did nothing with him. Killer Croc, I mean, sure, all right, he was fine, you know? Like, the characters were not the problem in that movie. It was more so the story that they did, you know, and they rushed it as well because I would actually set all this up who was going to be in the Suicide Squad, you know, in Batman films or in Batman films as like side villains. You get what I mean by that, Austin? Like,
Yeah.
oh, in like Batman 2, Batman is facing off against Deadshot and he puts him in jail and then he fights Mr. Freeze, who's the main villain of the thing. You get what I mean by that? Like, that's what I would do. Me personally.
No, that makes sense.
And then we would all build up to the Suicide Squad because, and see, that's the thing. James Gunn should be really smart. He's like, oh, I got a director who knows and studies Batman. That is Matt Reeves. While he also should look at the broader the DC universe within the comics. A lot of what happens in the comics is because of Batman. For example, the Suicide Squad. You can't have Suicide Squad without Batman. You can't have Teen Titans without Batman because of Robin. You know? And there's Birds of Prey as well, like Gotham City Sirens. You get what I mean by that. And even the Justice League as well to a certain.
Batman is the key.
Batman is the key to the universe. So
Batman is key to life itself.
100%.
I mean, to be fair though, I am killing Batman off in Justice League 4, so it's kind of like.
Well, that's why you should just end it there.
Well, I mean, you can kind of.
No, you can actually make it. This is what I would do. I would make it either Damian Wayne or Dick Grayson becomes Batman, which I guess I would pick Dick Grayson. And I know it's another Robin of yours who would become. But I would pick Dick Grayson because, I mean, that happened in the comics. So.
I kind of agree with that, but I think for me, I would actually have Tim Drake.
Yeah, I was about to say yours was like Tim Drake, right? Yeah.
Because it would make sense for his character because he has
the whole Red Hood thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Jason Todd, like that's the thing with my Phase 4. It's more like concluding everybody's characters. So like Superman would face like Zod, Batman would face Red Hood, Wonder Woman would face like Hades, Flash would face Reverse Flash, Green Lantern and Sinestro, like so on and so forth. And then of course Justice League 4 ends with Darkseid, and I would actually kill Flash, Green Lantern, and Batman as like the 3 major deaths. Because with Flash, you could have Wally just take the mantle of Flash because he's already Kid Flash. All you're doing is just taking the kid and just calling him the Flash. And then, like Green Lantern, you can just replace with anybody because it's a core.
Yeah, that's true.
And I would just replace him with Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
And then Batman, Tim Drake.
Batman, Tim Drake. Yeah. That would
Which
work.
honestly, the next Batman, like I guess associated trilogy, I guess if you want to call it that, I would focus it more on the Court of Owls.
Yes, I agree with that as well. For me, with my DCU, I would introduce. Well, I would keep it like the thing is with you and me, Austin. I would be like, all right, we're gonna start off with Batman in his second year because I do think the Batman movie is actually a perfect way to introduce the character, and it's also like my second favorite Batman film. So I have to say that I would basically just copy that film. Well, not cop. I would just allow that to be the second film, and I would plan out all right. First trilogy, well-known villains. Like, okay, there's Riddler, maybe Two Face, Mr. Freeze for the second one. You get what I mean, you know. And if I really want to, you know, what would be interesting? What if Joker was just to end the trilogy? You build up, and Joker's like the final guy for the trilogy.
See, that would actually be fine because it's not like you're doing Joker in the first movie.
No. Instead, you're gonna wait some time in order to make Joker the villain, if that makes sense. And you can even show him when he's not even the Joker. You know, that would be interesting. Make him just a normal crook, almost like what '89 did with the Jack Napier
Yeah.
thing. Show him just running, robbing banks. Maybe he's just a well-known criminal robber guy that a Batman just always defeats and catches, and he starts turning insane one day. And then there's the, you know, maybe during Ace Chemicals, Batman pushes him down there by accident, or he can't save him, and then bam, he becomes Joker. You get what I mean? We all know the origins of Joker by now. You
Yeah.
know? Or they can do another Heath Ledger route, honestly. Just make it that it's mysterious, his origin story, and he just popped up.
I feel like that's more comic book accurate to have him be more mysterious.
That is true. That is true. But again, I'm not the guy who is behind the DCEU.
That's true.
And then the second trilogy would be more so Batman is growing older.
Yeah.
So that's when he's more like in his late 40s, you know, late 40s ish. Well, no, he's in his 40s, I think. The first trilogy would be he's 20 to like 35 or whatever, because you gotta think we're also gonna have some Justice League movies, so some time will be taking place during the first three phases, you know, and then 4 to 6 he grows older, you know,
Yeah.
and then by the time 6 happens, he's gonna die, probably, you know, and then
That would work, I think.
yeah, exactly. So that's at least for me personally, just because I feel like Batman is the key to everything. So I kind of want to keep him alive. I want to let us see him when he's younger to then when he's old, in a way, you know, in a way.
Yeah, makes sense. They did a Trigon versus Darkseid in an animated DC movie, but if they did a live action version of that, I think that'd be interesting. I think that'd be pretty fucking badass.
Yeah, I think that will actually be kind of cool.
I would actually have Brainiac and Darkseid fight at the end of my Justice League 3, where Darkseid's about to invade. He's like, "Oh yes, the Earth's weak," and then he's pissed because Brainiac invades. Like, all right, I'll invade while they're distracted, and then they push Brainiac into Apocalypse, and then like they shut the portal down, and Darkseid's pissed. He's like, "Oh god damn it, I was going to invade, Brainiac. How dare you?" And then Brainiac's like, "It wasn't my fault." And he's like, "I'm gonna kick your ass." And Brainiac's like, "No, you won't." And then he's like, "Wait, where's my ship?" And then Darkseid's like, "Oh, you're dead, you motherfucker." And then like Darkseid just like kills him. Like he's like Brainiac can't even like defend himself. Like Darkseid just like tears him apart, and then Darkseid's all right. That's it. The gloves are coming off. We're gonna invade when it's almost time.
Prepare the Armada.
He's like, fuck the Armada. I'll go in there myself. And see, Darkseid being the Giga Chad, he'd literally walk into Earth by himself and kick the Justice League's ass, like, one by one.
Yo, I would love that if that was canon.
He kicks shit out of Breaks, like, that's it. I'm invading right now. But, sir, we gotta set the army. I don't need an army. What do you mean you don't need an army? I'll do it myself. And then Darkseid just enters a portal and, like, kills everybody.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Did you enjoy Christian Bale playing the role of Batman or more?
Batman.
Yeah, Batman.
His voice sucked, but his acting was great as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yeah, like, honestly, I ignore the voice, because it's like one minor thing for me.
Like, I actually like the voice of Batman Begins. It's Dark Knight Rises where it gets horrible for me. Like,
I think Ralph the Movie Maker did like a review of like the Dark Knight movies, and he's like, I don't know why he does that. Like, maybe like Nolan asked him not to do it, but then he just flipped out on set again, so they're just like, all right, let him do it. We'll never know the answer. I'm like, you know what, that kind of makes sense. I would like to believe that's the canon ending. That's the canon reason why he only does the voice, because he flipped out on set because Christopher Nolan told him, please don't stop gargling marbles. And he's like, what the fuck? Fuck you. And then he's like, fine, you can do whatever you want.
Fine, just leave me alone.
You can gargle marbles whenever you want.
Just don't hurt me, please.
So really my DCE. See, the thing is like, I don't want my DCEU to go too long, but there's so much you can do with it. Like, but Phase 1 has like all the major villains though, and then like Phase 2 is just like, or no, all the like my Dark Side. No, honestly, I think my DCEU is just gonna be like 4 phases, because there's just like all the major stuff that's gonna happens in like 4 phases. So it's like there's nothing left.
That's okay.
I mean, I would say maybe I guess maybe I could do like the Tim Drake Batman stuff like separate. I know where I would go with that. Court of Owls would be like the main villains in like the Tim Drake Batman. I mean, but Tim Drake could also be Red Robin though. He doesn't necessarily need to be Batman. Would I bring in Stephanie Brown as his Robin?
That's an interesting idea.
Jesus, I'm cooking here, Ninjoid. I'm cooking.
You're cooking.
So
Well, I'm, putting shelves together.
Dylan's like, "What's up? Nothing much, Dylan. I think we're wrapping up here. We went over an hour and a half, which
Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, honestly, the beginning of it was kind of a disaster. But you know what? I just came back after a 4-month sabbatical.
Hey,
You know
that's very impressive. I mean, the thing is, when I'm gone, everyone's like, "Hey, where is he?"
and then when I'm gone, everyone's just like, "All right, I guess he's gone." I'm like,
Well, the thing is, it's because you appear on more live streams, and all of that, where I haven't. Actually, I've just stopped streaming, playing here, and even chatting on others' streams and all that. I've always listened in and all that, but I've been very busy especially this past month, the December month. I'm talking about,
yeah, that was actually kind of me too, because like I've been meaning to cut. Like I want to watch people's streams, but it's either like I got class or I'm just really busy. There's never a good time.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, though, guys, we are gonna wrap it up. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank Dylan, Deshaun, Bone, Sindret, Kavari, Tomoko, Kama. I'm just gonna call you Terror Strong Fan, Andrew. Everybody, thanks for coming in. I'm gonna let everybody. Oh, I guess I could just let Star Wars Network or Ninjroid, whoever you want to call him these days. I'll let him. I'll let him tell everybody where they can find him at.
Alrighty. Well, you guys can check me out on my YouTube channel, Star Wars Network, where I'm right now. I can't wait for Thursday night, Austin, where we are going to be doing our first podcast of Galactic Chat, the new rebranded Galactic Chat that is completely new. And it's going to be a truly good podcast. We do have some great people coming on and some people that are or would be on, but due to some stuff in their lives, they just won't be for maybe a few weeks. And so that is perfectly fine. So go support my channel. There's going to be more uploads coming out, and I actually am sticking to that. I'm not like saying, hey guys, I'm going to start playing video, and then I don't. No, I'm being serious by that because I'm having my sister yell at me if I don't. So there's a reason why you guys see one Andor review up already. So yeah, right now I'm building my shelves, my Star Wars shelves, which will look pretty cool, I'm gonna say. And hopefully you guys will check out Galactic Chat on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, Austin, for having me on. I love talking about DC as well, and it was a fun time.
It was a very fun time. Well, for my first stream back, it wasn't a complete disaster, which I gotta say I'm impressed. I'm basically on everybody's channels. Like I'm on Dylan's channel when he does stuff. I'm gonna be on Galactic Chat on Thursdays. On Basco's channel on Wednesdays. I just do stuff on the channel at this point. It might be inconsistent with classes and all that, but you know, I'm just gonna do as much as I can, hopefully. Yeah, I feel like we'll do some stuff. Also, quick update on so I have on my channel I scheduled the DC animated movie reviews. Obviously with stuff going on, we're probably gonna delay them. So I'm probably gonna delay them till when I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, you know, just subscribe to everybody. You know, we'll get shit done, and yeah, that about does it. So thank you guys for watching. This is the Oscinator signing out.
Peace.
I'm gonna end it on this.
Anti-life is found, Assad, and we will stop it.